Good morning. Today we look at Mark 4:35 through 5:20. And on Saturday, we were reading some of the parables that Jesus was using to teach his disciples, and it ended with, that he explained the parables to his disciples. And then that evening, he says, let's go across to the other side. And they get in the boat, and one of the things that's just kind of an afterthought almost, other boats were with them in verse 36. They, leaving the crowd behind, they took Jesus with them in the boat just as he was. And I mean, that I don't quite understand that either. I mean, he was just the same as the rest of them, I would think. He was, tired and, worn out from the day, and just, the same kind of everything, the same as they were, but, just as he was. It's just a puzzling. But the other boats were with. And a great windstorm came up, and the waves were beating into the boat, so that the boat was being swamped. And so the other boats must have been in the same predicament. And Jesus was sleeping in the stern of the boat, they said, and they woke him. And they, with the words, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Don't you care that the boat's about ready to sink, that the wind and the waves?" And I think about this, that these guys, many of them were experienced fishermen, and Jesus is sleeping, and he's a carpenter, and he's been teaching, and what is it that they expect Jesus to do? I mean, it's I'm puzzled by that. Maybe help bail the water out. One more person with a pail or with something, tossing the water out of the boat. But Jesus shows the amazing power that he has, the amazing abilities that only God could have. He woke up, it says, and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." The sea calmed, and there was, the sea stilled, the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. And think about how that must have felt to the disciples, to go from, a rushing hard wind and the waves, breaking up over the top of the boat and coming in, and then all of a sudden Jesus speaks, and it's crystal clear, smooth, flat water, and then there's not even enough breeze to push the boat. I mean, I don't know if they had a sail on the boat or if they were rowing, but regardless, just to go from this tremendous storm to complete calm. And we have troubles in our lives. We do. And when we come to God in prayer and ask for help, guidance, strength to get through, it doesn't often happen that that the problem is just boom, completely gone, but we find the strength to get through. And this is one of the things I think that we learn from this is that God has the power to still our hearts, that when we put our worries and our cares into God's hands, it makes our burden lighter. It doesn't mean, like I said, that everything is going to just boom, be automatically great, but we can put our faith and our trust in him. And he looks at his disciples after this, and he said, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And it was just, they woke him up. They must trust who he is. They must have started to believe who he was, that they woke him up, but have you no faith? Yeah, they do. They trusted that Jesus could do something. And we do too. We trust that when we come to God, when we come to Jesus with our prayers, when we lean on him for the strength that we need to get through the day, we have that trust that Jesus can do something, that he can, still our hearts, he can still our minds. It doesn't mean we aren't going to fuss and fret and worry a little bit. We're going to do that, but it lightens our burden to know that God is with us. And in chapter 5, when they got to the shore on the other side of the lake, here's the story of the Gerasene demoniac. And Jesus is met. And when he stepped out of the boat, immediately a man came from the tombs with an unclean spirit, and he challenged Jesus. We hear about everything that this man did, how he, there's the strength that he had, that he could break chains, and the fear that he would put into the hearts of the other people, these, and it wasn't the man, it was the demons within him. But when he saw Jesus, it says, he came, he ran, and he bowed down before Jesus. And then he shouted at the top of his voice. I mean, normally when we come to God with our prayers, we don't yell and scream at him. We come, but it was this demon speaking. And he shout, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" And it's just, we see that and hear that from these demons, that they recognize who Jesus is, Son of the Most High God. They know, and they know that Jesus has power over them. And, do not torment me, this demon says, because Jesus had already said to the demons, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And then Jesus asked the name. "My name is Legion," speaking to the demon, "for we are many." And, so I don't know, the demons evidently were still within the man that Jesus was talking with them, because they wouldn't have all of a sudden materialized, and been there. But the demons that were within this man, they understand that, they can't live without a host. They need something. And they asked Jesus to let them go into this herd of pigs. And, to the Jewish people, pigs had very little value. They couldn't eat pig meat. They couldn't, they didn't wear the skin of the pig. This pig was an unclean animal, not good really for anything. So for a Jewish person, it was no big deal. Really, for these pigs, these swine, to be possessed with the demons and go into the sea and be drowned. But for the people of the region that were tending these pigs, that were utilizing these pigs, that were, this was a part of their living. This was a terrible, terrible travesty. And but they saw what Jesus had spoken, and how these demons within this man had to obey Jesus. And they were afraid. And they asked Jesus to leave. They didn't want Jesus to stay. And, it's sometimes that, we don't want to hear the truth of the sins that are within us either. We get this idea that, maybe we're a little bit better, or, who knows, all these different things that goes on in the minds of people. But, this kind of reminds me of the man in the hospital that told a fellow pastor, a friend of mine, that when he asked, "Well, can I share a prayer with you?" "Oh, I'm not that sick yet. It's just, no, I don't need that yet." And so it's kind of, these people didn't, they weren't aware of the benefit it would be to have Jesus within their lives and within their, in their community. But, they asked Jesus to leave. And, the swineherds had gone and told all the people, and they all came, and they just weren't ready for this Jesus to be in their midst. And the man who was cleansed, the man who had all these demons expelled from his body, that was now again in his right mind and could live within the city and with the people, he wants to go with Jesus. He wants to be one of those with Jesus. And Jesus says to him, "Go home and tell those people what God has done for you," And, that's what he says. He says, "Go home to your friends and tell how much the Lord has done for you and what mercy he has shown you." And this man did. He went home and told all the people. He was proclaiming this. Often Jesus would say to the people, or to the demons, or don't say anything, just, but here it's go and proclaim, go and tell. And that's exactly what we are to do too. And, at Christmas time, we sing the song, "Go Tell It on the Mountain," and, shout it from the mountaintop. And this is what we need to do, is to know that Jesus has taken our sin from us, and we should be bold to proclaim that, to tell that, and to live that, live it out, to know that we don't have this sin within us anymore. We don't have to worry about the devil grabbing a hold of us and all of that. Although the devil still tries, the devil works hard on us each and every day. And so we come to Jesus, inviting him into our lives and into our hearts. And that's what he would have us do.